Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't know, man. Some people just don't get it. Some people just don't get it. Some people just don't comprehend or just never experience what progress is. You know, I just miss the glory days of this space. I'm talking about circa 2008, 2009. From, well, I'll really go back. I'll say from 2007 to 2012 was the glory days of what we call, or what we now call, the so-called Black Manosphere or so-called Black YouTube. Those were the glory days. Those were the days where content creators came online and focused on fixing the problem that's plaguing so-called Black America, or in particular, the problems plaguing so-called Black males. I say this because whenever people argue about the flaws of the current Black manosphere and how this current the Black manosphere of today is failing, well, I'll say it's already failed. It's already dead. But when people mention that, those who disagree with that argument would respond by using the amount of fame certain content creators in this space have, and use that to dispute the fact that, hey, this space is not dead. This space have not dropped the ball when it comes to helping Black males. You see, we have this many. We're so popular. We have this content creator that's so popular. We have that content creator that's very popular. Oh yeah, I have thousands of subs. So therefore, this space haven't dropped the ball. This space is oh boy. I mean, people don't get it that internet popularity is not an example of progress. See, when people who critique the so-called Black manosphere, whether they're members of the Black manosphere or not, when they critique the Black manosphere and ultimately come to the conclusion that this space is fucked up, you can't respond or you can't disagree by bragging about how popular this space is, because once again, internet fame is not an example of progress. I mean, regardless of how many content creators in this space are becoming more and more popular, regardless of how big or how this space became bigger, the thing is this. Oh, you was making a movie? What's up, Big J? You was making a movie? What type of movie? You know what? You know what? I digress. I digress. Oh, he said F being a YouTuber. Oh. But going back, what's going on, Big J? Yeah. But going back to what I was saying, is that progress is not defined by how famous somebody is on the internet. as far as this space is concerned, this space's progress is based upon how it is helping to improve the conditions of black males outside in the real world. See, if you're not, if these videos that we're producing in this space is not impacting people out in the real world to the point of the fact that we see results when it comes to the improvement of black men, then your fame means nothing. Your fame means nothing. Yeah, don't get me wrong. You have certain channels, certain YouTube channels in the so-called black manosphere that's increasing in popularity. You have certain content creators who are making a little bit of peanuts. To them, it's a lot of money, but in actuality, it's a bunch of peanuts. They're making money off donations. They're making money off of, monetizing their videos. They're making money off of these little Patreon videos. Some people are making some money, but at the end of the day, the question is, what impact are your videos making out in the real world to the point of the fact that we see an increase in positive results when it comes to the conditions that black males in America or in the Western Hemisphere is facing? If we don't see these results, if we don't see a positive impact in these results, or if we don't see a positive impact on if we hold on. Sometimes I get like a little freeze because I know what I'm saying, but it's just how I articulate it sometimes. I get that. But if we're not making a positive contribution out in the real world, then we're failing in this space. This space have dropped the ball. What's going on, Sheila E? Then this space have dropped the ball. Your popularity on the internet means nothing. If we're not impacting places of legislation and to help push policies to improve the conditions of so-called black males in America, if we're not doing enough pushing for economic independence of so-called black males in America or in the Western Hemisphere, if we're not doing enough to help improve the health, both mental and physical, well, I'll even add a third, the spiritual health of so-called black males in America and the Western Hemisphere, if we're not making an impact to change the public education system to the point that more black males are achieving when it comes to the fields of public education, if we're not impacting these areas of everyday life, then the black manosphere has failed. You said, to be honest, I think small YouTubers are better. Yeah. Smaller YouTubers are better because most small YouTubers are not reliant on YouTube to make money. See, the bigger content creators in this space, they rely on this shit for a living. They need this shit to pay their rent. Therefore, they'll make whichever content that's going to put money in their pocket. instead of whichever content that has true meaning. What you said? Big J Triple X says, I say drop 35 nukes on this space. I don't like even bacteria to escape. Yo, yo. Oh man, Big J. Big J's crazy. He said, I say drop 35 nukes. Yo. But you know what though? If 35 nukes is gonna fall, make sure I get out the way. Make sure I get out the way. Because I know damn well I'm not one of those rotten apples. It's these rotten apples in the space that need to go. Well, I wouldn't say it's been a failure since the beginning. I'll say it's been a failure ever since the conversation changed. You know what I'm talking about, Big J. Ever since the conversations within this space switch from helping to improve the conditions of black males to crying and complaining about vagina or the lack thereof, that's when this space failed. But that's my opinion. To each his own. To each his own. All right, so I'm gonna post a link to the panel on the chat, just in case if anyone is interested on coming on here and putting their 2 cents on this. But oh yeah, damn. Big J said after old boy made that video of me, I was done with this space. Oh man, that retard. Listen. Unfortunately, I saw that video because you tagged my name on it, and unfortunately, I saw that video. That video is horrible, man. I mean, it goes to show you the amount of sick people you have on here who claim to represent this space. I mean, now a person, a so-called black man on YouTube, stating that they're a member of the Black Manosphere is synonymous to someone saying that they're born again Christian. It's like, unfortunately, when someone say they're born again Christian, it's hard to take them seriously. I mean, no offense against the religion of Christianity. I'm not trying to diss the religion of Christianity, but unfortunately, a lot of people who claim to be Christians are big time hypocrites. What's going on, Sheila? Are big time hypocrites. And
how you doing, Wacky? I just wanted to add.
Hold on for a minute. Hold on for a minute. Yeah, what's going on, MOT? So, the same thing goes with the so-called Black Manosphere now. When someone says that they're a member of the Manosphere, it's like saying they're born again Christian. But I dropped the mic. Sheila E, what do you have to say? What are your 2 cents?
How you doing, MOT? I just want to say that. See, I don't get caught up in the big YouTubers, the likes and the crowd and stuff like that. I just get caught up in the message, and that's what it's all about. Because I see a lot of underrated YouTubers who bring forth a lot of good content, information concerning business, concerning education, concerning politics and stuff. And they're not even getting a lot of views. It's like our people are so caught up in drama and sex and gender wars. Like the really good content creators, the not so big ones, is getting looked over, So that's the only thing I want to say. I look at the message, not the person, And I don't care how many numbers you have or whatever. If you're not bringing forth positivity concerning what's going on, and my thing is I advocate for my black males, and that's why I hurt my heart that it's so much negativity where it is setting up laws and policies against y'all every day. and that's not even being addressed. And I, you know, go back in the chat. I just want to say that.
And it's unfortunate that in this space, uh, it's unfortunate that in this space that these real problems are not being addressed. Oh, what happened? Damn. Okay, Sheila E locked out. Well, hopefully you come back on, Sheila E. I don't know, maybe you're having technical problems. So, what's going on, MOT? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man? I was going to do a show on this Friday, similar to the subject called "When Did Leveraging a Woman's Opinion Become the Standard of Masculinity?"
All right, hold on, MOT. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
But
Okay, in the chat, Kevin Kelly and Big J Triple X, y'all both chill out, man. Y'all both chill out. Don't be arguing, man. Chill out. If you guys wanna go back and forth and argue, do that shit elsewhere. Don't do it on my spot. But go ahead, MOC. Sorry about that.
yeah, it's just that you have to understand that the people are coming for their second wind of masculinity via other people's opinion. That's just currently where we are, man. It's like they want to leverage a woman's opinion. You got the game dudes who's trying to feed younger men into overly experienced women. You got most fake pro blacks sitting back, leveraging the street image online. It's like a whole bunch of stuff that never would happen. But when you set the standard, because the standard has been set, anything for a view, anything for a like, anything for a super chat. And once that becomes the standard, don't be shocked and surprised when there are hungrier, even thirstier dudes who come through here who want to do similar or much of the same thing. This is what happens when you have people who are part of a mission who are no longer part of the original mission. They're not part of the original mission. They're here to cannibalize whatever they can to move out. Now, we used to call them traveling preachers in the South when they would get kicked out of one church and then, and for one specific set of reasons, and then they would go to the next town and set up another church, but nobody knew the track record of why this person was even there in the first place. And the actual reason was the same reason why he's at the next church, doing the same thing.
Yeah, and it becomes a pattern,
Yeah.
and people have to eventually catch on to the pattern. Use some critical thinking skills, catch on to the pattern, and realize what's the agenda of this person. What is this person doing to keep getting kicked out, like you said, from church to church to church to church? What is he doing that's wrong? And the thing is, with a lot of the audience, I'm realizing two things when it comes. Well, I've always realized that about the viewing audience in this space. You have two different audiences, right? You have those who don't have critical thinking skills, who don't have any common sense to be able to decipher when they're being deceived by a lot of these content creators. And two, you have the audience who don't care. They just want to be entertained. So when they see these clowns, they're just being entertained, and they both cater to that person and give that person a lot of influence on here. Yeah.
And the problem is, it is the audience, actually. It's not the content creators, because if this shit wasn't working, or if it wasn't what it was, it's the audience. Like me, I could completely change up exactly what the hell I do, and the reason why I do it is because I care about people walking away with the best information possible, so that way they don't have to look up to these type of broken men and broken women for actual things. I mean, I get shit in my feed that I'm never gonna subscribe to. You know, you click on the video, next thing you know, you have a whole bunch of stuff that's there for you to look at. And you have to understand that the deliberate miseducation and the deliberate stagnation of black people is big business. It turns into a hell of a lot of things. It turns into fast food. It turns into all types of other things, because people are invested in black people not actually progressing. And one of the most primary benefactors is black people themselves, especially the ones that haven't really done anything with their life. I mean, we got jailhouse scholars around here, and the only thing they're doing is they're doing what, you know, DJT did. Oh, yeah, I'm here to drain the swamp. Next thing you know, he drained the swamp with alligator eggs. And what happened when you drain the swamp with alligator eggs and them eggs all of a sudden hatch? You got the same problem all over again. So it's like, this is just currently where we are within this space. And there's really nothing much you could do about it because the people, this has become escapism for them.
Yes.
Watching Pookie make it so that way they can feel better because they haven't done shit with their life, right? That's what
Right.
they
Right.
want to see. They want to see a dude brag about how much money they get out of this space illicitly. That's the type of shit they like seeing because they want to get money illicitly out of some shit too. So it's it's a value system that you're seeing repeated.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a. I'll say it's a lack of a value system in this
Yeah,
case. It's nothing but a minstrel show that's being put online, an online minstrel show. But Kevin Kelly, how you doing? What do you have to say, Kevin Kelly? How are you?
Hey, what's up? What's up, MOT?
what's up?
Um, okay. I just came in, so I didn't get to see everything that you were or hear everything you were talking about. But I'm just going by the title of the video. Now, I'm one of those guys over by Reg's panel and over on my channel who always stuck out against YouTubers with big subscriber numbers getting their ass kissed and worshipped. And I've always spoken against these same big YouTubers who are arrogant and they look down on other YouTubers who might not have the same subscriber numbers, and them thinking that what they say is gospel or the truth, or, they make some money from ad revenues and then they look at everybody else as a struggle YouTuber or whatever. It's really insignificant to me. It's very eye opening to me also to see how easily led some people are just by seeing some people with big subscriber numbers. And it makes me understand know something that I couldn't understand when I was a child. I couldn't understand why people would cry when they see their favorite celebrities, why people would take whatever celebrities say as gospel. I couldn't understand the marketing strategy when I was younger, when they would use like NBA players or soccer players or whomever to advertise McDonald's or something. I used to say like, why would I go buy McDonald's because Shaq is eating it? I didn't get it until I cemented myself in these YouTube spaces. And I'm like, I get it, you know. But it's not the right practice for people because we see a lot of people not thinking for themselves. And some of these big YouTubers, they know this and they purposely put out misinformation like Tariq Nasheed does. I don't know. Am I on the same wavelength? Am I following your topic?
No,
Oh,
no, you
Oh,
are,
most
and,
definitely,
and,
you are. You are. But go ahead,
and
Emmett. What
actually,
you have to say?
I actually go over to the Tariq Nasheed to see people who I need to block from my space.
it's gonna be hard because there's a lot of people over there.
Yeah, yeah,
Really.
yeah. Because there will be no man monkey branching over here. If you're over there for that reason, there is no way in the hell you're coming over here to clean up after the stuff you're going to eventually mess up. So, nah, man, we're not having that. Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
that's why you're gonna see my numbers fluctuating a lot because I just go over to certain places, and as soon as I see your ass over there, all right, man, block, block, block. Come over here, the numbers come up, and they realize they can't say some stupid shit in the chat. and they already the hell up out of here. Like, yeah, man, I'm not gonna deal with this. And they think that for some reason that they're so vital to the conversation, that their ignorance is so vital to the conversation that it can't possibly go on without them. I'm like, dude, listen, progress is going to be something that's going to be for a very small group of people, and everyone else is just going to want to be a part of the ride. And you're going to have to see this because now you get to see the pattern now in ways that you cannot positively ignore it. You see it on an hourly basis, on a daily basis, on a beef side of basis. You got people in situations and circumstances that make absolutely no sense trying to be leaders. 50-year-old guys still talking about relevance with women, knowing damn well that most of their failure in life came to the same women that they didn't, actually conquer. But they're trying to sell the fact that they have 18 years or 20 or 25 years at 18 as actual power to other people. And I'm like, at some certain point, you have to realize that these people are inundated with these images within their environment. Like a lot of these people, it's normal to see these type of idiots within their home environment. This is normal to them. Seeing these type of people is quite normal to them. It's not anything that's different. It's something that is quite normal. And you have to realize that once this type of stuff has become quite normalized, because it's a degree of radicalization, this is what this is based on. It doesn't matter whether it's radical Islam, radical any type of thing. The moment that you've been bombarded with the same image over and over again, and this image has become normal to you, you now become a weaponized member against the actual progress. Because now people look at progress as you're taking away people's freedoms. Just let them do what they want. I'm like, yeah, but what if doing what they want is destroying the environment? Well, I don't care. I feel good because, and then there you go.
Yeah, yeah. I feel good. I feel good. It doesn't matter the results. It doesn't matter if I net negative results. I feel good doing it. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't get that
yeah.
mentality. I don't. And I guess I guess I do belong in a wacky world because what I'm seeing on YouTube was never normal to me. It was never normal to me from this from this from people having this messiah complex in which they're looking for strangers on the internet from behind a computer or mobile device to be their messiahs or to be their daddies or their mommies. From that to people relying on people online in order to improve their dating life. To me, that's not normal. It's so abnormal.
But it
It,
isn't though.
wow.
It isn't. I
Uh,
mean, I wasn't raised like that either. I was
yeah.
raised in Mississippi, where you you had to be extremely disciplined within that environment. There was really no room, and I mean absolutely no room for guys who kept up drama within the environment. You normally seen them dudes easily, and I mean easily once they mess with the wrong person because they always end up going too far. Always, you
Uh,
always end up seeing them people get theirs quite quickly. But the way things are working right now is it's just that you have to realize that there's a push for this stuff to remain normal. There's a push for it. There's a push for it by a lot of people within the environment, and it's just not the YouTubers. The only thing they're doing is weaponizing what's already there. They can't weaponize things that already don't have power. They can't
correct.
do something or bring a concept to a certain place that already doesn't have a level of success associated with it. They already know what the level of success is. They already know that. There is no need to go over that. With some people, they get here And they even come to me and ask these dumbass questions. I'm like, all right, block. You know, it's like, dude, what different perspective do you need to hear at this point about getting your shit together and leaving this dumb shit alone? Like, what it, what additional needs to be said at this point that they don't get? And for me personally, it's just that it's on purpose. It's on purpose. Like once you start looking at it, like my grandfather always said, look at it as if they're doing it on purpose, and it will make the most sense to you once you start thinking like that.
Good point. Good point. Kevin, you
Because
have
if
something to
somebody,
say? Go ahead.
because does anybody really need to be told to stay away from older, non-feminine women? Just, I mean, just on the surface, does anybody need to be told that?
No, no. I'm just answering your question. You can continue.
I mean, yeah, I totally agree that there is a push. There's a push to keep this level of ignorance at a high scale among so-called black people, and that push has existed for a very long time.
Correct.
You know, obviously, and
Ever since the
the thing,
70s.
yeah, ever since the 70s, and but this is the irony though. You have people in this space who complain about the results of this push, but yet further perpetrate this push. So I'm looking at these people like, okay, what is that person's true agenda? Because this person is complaining about the same thing they're perpetuating.
Yeah.
Mm.
You have PhDs within this space who've come to this space to team up and perpetuate street culture. What kind of sense does that make? It's very easy how you fix this stuff. You leave all this stuff the hell alone. But they sit around the same people who's leveraging people's inexperience as a weapon against them and say nothing about it. I'm like, what in the world is going on here? This is crazy.
Right. But you know what? The thing is, MOT, is that logically, a person don't need a lot of experience to know when something doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
Person doesn't need. All you just need is just, like I always say, just a little bit of critical thinking skills.
Yeah, it's just no. It's like this. A cat does not have to be reminded when an actual raccoon steps into the fray. Something with their DNA know that I can't challenge this thing. And if I do,
Right.
I'm going to get messed up horrifically. Don't need to be challenged. Don't need to be told. Don't even need to have experience. And that's the things
Exactly.
with the things here within this environment. No one needs to be told that these things are bad. It's just that they want their turn. Then they want to turn around and claim that they know better after they've had their turn. But let me have my turn on something that's not going to work, and then I'll learn the lesson later. And it's like, what's going on, man? That's why I put
Yeah.
or took down some of my old content, and people were like, well, why don't you put it back up? The whole fact of you asking for my old content means that you're not past it. Why would I give you the means or the hope of repeating mistakes? That's a mistake on my part.
Exactly.
Well, you guys do know that common sense is actually written in our essences, right?
Yeah, but you got to realize, like a lot of people, this is their end goal. It is their end goal. The
And
end goal is to be a part of it. So
you know what, MOT, you brought up a good point, what you just said, as far as when you took down some of your old videos and people ask you how come you took that down. It's very frustrating I can already tell because I've had similar experiences because it's very frustrating because if you're a content creator who your agenda is to really help solve a problem, and instead of people focusing on solving a problem, they're more focused on asking you how come you took down your video, you realize that that person is only utilizing you for entertainment
Correct.
instead of just looking at the actual problem and solving it. And I let people know all the time, I'm not here for entertainment. Never was. I
And
know
it's
I could
like,
I could be an entertaining person. I probably, people think I got a cool personality. That's fine, but I'm not here for anyone's entertainment. Never was. Never was, man. I'm here to actually bring up a problem and find ways to solve it and brainstorm with like-minded people on this what we call YouTube. But go ahead, MOT.
because a lot of these people are not like-minded. You have to realize that they're here. They're here to keep reperpetuating the same problem that got them where they are in life, man. Like a lot of people don't want to be done with this shit for real, man. They don't want to be, and it's a hard thing to think about when people want to deliberately put children in harm's way. They want to do it because there's so much power in doing that. It's too much. But this is where we are. We we have seen the enemy. It is us.
Yeah, 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 yeah. People, it's funny. People find so much power in trying to get other people to be just as fucked up as them,
Correct.
in which in reality that ultimately leads to less or no power at all.
For everybody else collectively.
Exactly. So it is just a funny situation how people find power in something that's not even powerful. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Correct.
It's
It's
crazy.
just like yeah. It's just like at this point, the people who've abused choice are now beginning to face the consequences of it, and it's everybody else's fault and problem that they're now facing the consequences of an abuse of choice. Remember, it was leveraged as actual power not even 10 to 15 years ago. And I'm like, okay, let's wait 10 to 15 years in the future and we're going to see what this power, so called power that they have, is actually worth. And it turns out it's going to be worth nothing. Because you have to realize that this stuff isn't something that you can leverage. As you can't leverage anything like that. And you can't move something like this to another space. And it's like the suffering will be immense, but it's a suffering that people actually need. They actually need to see this. They actually need to see this stuff happen. They need to see it because this stuff has to end. One way or another, it has to stop. And the only way that it can stop is that you just step back.
Correct. Correct. And one thing you can't leverage as far as YouTube is how many views somebody get. Because I constantly see this dumb personality when it comes, this dumb way of thinking when it comes to a lot of these content creators, how they try to use their subscribers, the number of subscribers that they have, and the number of views that they have as leverage against another YouTuber. It's like, okay, you can leverage actual evidence to argue a point. You can leverage actual resources that you have in your possession. You can leverage these things. You can't leverage how much attention you get on a website that you don't even own. There's no leverage in that.
Yeah, but
And here's
but
another
oh,
thing.
but oh,
Yeah, go
look,
ahead, man.
Let
Go
Captain
ahead,
speak.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but oh, look, you remember that chick Glozell from she's a YouTube content creator. Oh,
Glozell?
yeah,
I never heard of her.
I mean,
Obama had her at the White House a few years ago, and people were upset, especially Tommy Sotomayor. But anyway, Glozell, she's she's not an intellectual, or her platform um, her platform has nothing to do with intellect. Her platform is about doing some stupid shit, just acting a fool, painting her face and making funny faces and doing the stupidest shit. This chick has millions of followers, you know. So I'm saying that in reference to what you just said, like if you have a lot of resources, then you can make a point if you're making a point that's relative to resources. You can't just use that as leverage for everything. Isn't that what you were saying?
Oh, that's sort of similar. Yeah, that's
Sort
similar
of
to what I'm
similar.
saying.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing with a lot of these guys with this huge subscriber base. And they think, okay, I have all these subscribers, so all you other guys are stupid, you're lame, you struggle this, struggle that, and I have all this leverage because of my subscriber base. It doesn't work like that because Glozell could do the same thing because she has a lot of subscribers, even though all she does is fuck shit.
Well, could I say something? What's up, y'all?
Go ahead, spiritual logic. Go ahead.
Uh,
This unfortunately, black people on social media is a macrocosm of black people in the majority of society. It's just like when you have a female mindset. You can see a female put up a twerking video and get 1 million subscribers. So we know that drama and you know raunchy behavior and all that stuff is going to sell to dumb people. Unfortunately, we got to be honest about the majority of people are not looking for progress. This is a minority thing. I'm not talking about race, but just a minority of people are actually looking for progress. Most people are just looking to profit off of the destruction and chaos. And I mean, it's no different from what we see in the regular society. You see people profiting from chaos and drama all the time. It's no difference. People want to take the lazy route, and this is just proving the lazy route to take credit for something that's just reflecting the bigger issue of society, and then making it um an internet version of it. It's not creativity, it's not progress, it's not nothing. We know that women, it's the same female mindset. Women have proven that you can do dumb stuff and it'll get a lot of views. But if you just want to be entertained, fine. And because that's what this has become, is become entertainment. It's the function of it being something to, wake men up and build productivity. That's just going to be among us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
And
seriously, the spaces that we create is where it's going to be. As soon as we step outside of our, the people, like-minded people, we step into the dysfunction.
uh-huh. And that's why it's necessary for a split to happen in this space
I
where
mean,
it's already
split
happening.
already happened.
It's,
Split already has happened.
it already happened. It's necessary because we need to put away the fuck shit and the fuck boys in in this space and separate them from the real men who are about producing or on the verge of being more productive in life, because that's
It's
what it should
already.
be about. That's what it should be about. Because how can we collectively improve our condition and not speak about being productive? I mean, come on now, that should go hand in hand. But go
Yeah,
ahead with
but
your.
they just turned into entertainment, man. It's just about
Yeah.
getting laughs, getting a click. Um, I'm telling you, it's lost that meaning. That purpose is only among us, only among people who, I mean, look at it right now. People would rather see um a dude sell overused, ran through women to guys who don't have purpose in life than actually build men up. You know, that's just what it is. Like, I mean, you see the dating coaches thing. That's what's selling right now because people are trying to. There's an escapism with life going on. People are trying to find a way to escape responsibility, to escape the reality that this is that we everybody needs to do some work. People are trying to escape that and live in this delusion that you can just laugh all day and that's fine. Let somebody else clean the mess up.
What do you have to say, MOT?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, and the split already happened. Like people don't know that yet, but the split up has already happened, and I was aware of it once it did happen. I mean, because they can't leverage anything. They can only leverage your end goal. If your end goal is to end up with one of these people at the end of the day, that's the only thing that they can leverage. They can't leverage anything else that isn't already predetermined by the person that's being leveraged against. Like these people have no real power. The only thing they can do is stir chaos among a specific group of people around a specific issue. So this isn't real power, so to say. I mean, but this is where we're at because a lot of people have decided that they are going to be a part of this specific thing despite what happens. And they don't care because they're stuck and they're not going anywhere. So therefore, you're stuck and you're not going anywhere. It's just the way it is right now. And I couldn't be happier with the result because these people are going to need a lot of help. And we're just going to have to look at them like the Chinese look at their lesser workers. You're not going to be able to help them. They had a path, they didn't take it. Nothing you could do about it. You know, the only thing you could do is if there's going to be certain preset inputs, the only thing you can do is benefit from the outputs and just keep your distance. There's nothing you can do.
And we
I
go
mean, because this
and
is
we
what
can
they want.
Oh, oh, are you done, MOT?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, good point. All right, spiritual logic, you can speak, and after spiritual logic, Kevin can speak. All right, go ahead, spiritual.
okay, thank. Yeah, I was just going to add to we see them cannibalizing each other now. You know, once we step out of the fray, what do? They cannibalize each other. That's already happening because when you have some kind of intellect among you, you just you naturally walk away from it. And that's what people are doing. It's not even hate. I don't hate anybody. I'm just walking away from an unproductive mindset. You know, let them do what they do. You know, but what happens with chaos is that it'll destroy everybody involved. They're cannibalizing each other. And they have turned that into temporary drama that draws people in, but you know, that's only going to last for so long.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's where we're at. And
Hold on for MOT. Kevin Keller, do you have something to say?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna hop off just in a bit, but just to piggyback off what spiritual logic said earlier, I on my channel I did like a few recordings of live stream battles and stuff like that. People arguing on live streams, and I mean it's entertaining, but it was a test that I ran on my channel, and I realized that when I do talk about beneficial stuff on my channel, be it cancer and stuff like that, or certain illnesses or monetary stuff, yeah, I get very small views. But when I post the fuck shit, I get 1.5 thousand views, 2,000 views. You get what I'm saying? So it's it's just like what spiritual logic just said. It's people just want to consume nonsense, man. And MOT said earlier, it's just gonna implode on itself. It's not gonna change. It's just gonna implode on itself. The whole space is people on a whole. Is they don't want anything wholesome. We just have to leave them and let them consume whatever they're consuming. They have chosen what they want, and that's what they want. So that's all I had to say. I'm gonna go get some sleep. I'll see you guys. Peace out.
all
All
right,
right,
later, man.
Kevin.
All right, have a good
Oh,
night, Kevin. Yeah, you and you know what? And I'm loving it. When I say I'm loving it, I'm loving the fact that uh that aspect of this space is implode on themselves. I love it because when it implodes on themselves, it take down all the other fuck niggas down with them. But go ahead, MOT, you have the mic, bro.
Because here's the thing: with a certain person that's talking about women it has actually diluted the space of a whole bunch of people who can talk about women. It's all folded into one environment. So now all the people who are talking about women now, they just go over there. They're in one space. It all folded into one area. And sometimes it's the quarantine area. You let stuff burn itself out. Somebody's going to become the king or the captain of it, and then they're just going to sit over there where those things are at. Trust me, it works. Takes a while, but it works. There's nothing you're going to be able to do with people who already don't want to do anything. There's nothing you're going to be able to do with that. Nothing at all. And you got to be okay and fine with it. You got to be okay and fine with knowing that you've done the right thing and you need to move on. You cannot save a lot of these people. They don't want to be saved. And as soon as you go up there and try to act like you want to be a savior, they're looking for your embarrassment as actual entertainment because they
Yep.
don't care about the things that you want to see within the environment. They don't care about that. They know what they're doing. They're grown adults. They know what they're doing. And you have to just step back and just let these people do their thing because this whole pander and slander thing, it doesn't have something that you can grow from it. It's obvious it's something that isn't a long term thing. It's obvious. So, as long as you remove yourself, you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's very well said. That's very well said. You have to let them marinate in their own ignorance. Let them marinate in their own ignorance. Yeah,
Hmm.
but spiritual logic, what you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's sad, man, because I just, when men get together and we talk about real issues and we talk about, coming out, getting out of this weakness of being women driven and unfocused, and people who can put their stories on the table and talk about what they overcame in life. I mean, look, I guess it's about people who've actually had something to overcome. I had a lot to overcome in life. My life wasn't easy, but that's what made it beneficial, is that I had to learn a lot. I had to overcome things. It hasn't always been easy. I know the value of being productive, of working hard, staying focused. And then when you come out of something like that, it's natural for you to want to share that message, to inspire others around you, because people don't, you realize that being, unproductive is a choice. It's all a choice. No matter what your beginnings were, it's a choice, because, it's either people who are willing to do the work, stay focused, and people who are not. And I think we see that clearly on the internet. A lot of people, they just want to be opportunistic with the chaos, with drama. And
Correct.
and it's really about women. I mean, I hate to keep saying it, but it's all women with these guys. It's the feminine mindset. They live and breathe women, and it's not even in any sense that's logical. It's almost like they're the new women, and the women are trying to take this superior mindset of watching them dance on strings, and they don't even know it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Highly feminine males. You know, uh, people utilize the term hyper masculine in order to label certain sect of so-called black males, but
Hyper
I don't see.
masculine.
Yeah,
What?
that's my reaction because I don't see hyper masculinity in these types of black males. I see hyper femininity in behavior. It's like spiritual logic point out. It's the female mentality where males are not focused on these types of males that we're talking about. They're not focused on productivity. They're focused on getting attention, focused on entertainment. I mean, that's very highly a female mindset. And like MOT and both you and Logic put it together, we're just going to have to treat them like the hoes that they are and leave them the hell alone. It's sort of like now we have to do a sort of MGTOW so a sort of like McToll like stance against these hyper feminine males on this internet and leave them the hell alone.
because they're giving
Yeah.
power to the actual issue that they claim that they don't want to be around.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well said. That's well said.
Yeah, because you try to tell dudes about the power of sexual discipline, self-control, um, understanding yourself. 'Cause a lot of times you can't even progress in life until you understand the things that are holding you back, the things that are keeping you distracted and unfocused. You can't even develop a plan until you deal with yourself. But, it's like they're feeding their own vices. Their weakness is their distractive, unfocused mentality to only define themselves and have an identity through the lens of a woman. It's sad because,
Or the opinion, even worse.
yeah, hmm yeah, and it's sad because that's totally out of order. And of course, women are going to capitalize off the weakness of males like that, but that's a sign of destruction. When you see women starting to control and manipulate and put men against each other and just watch them fight, each other for the approval and opinions of women. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's to a point now. I'm hearing men speaking about other men's looks.
Yes,
I'm literally hearing men
yes,
talking about how they
yeah.
look better than the other men. I'm like, whoa, whoa.
Ugh.
Now,
Yeah.
now you're taking,
Calling other men ugly.
yeah, calling other men ugly. So, and when I hear men say that, right, I tell them, I said, listen, if you think this man is ugly, then that means that there's a certain type of guy that you find to be attractive. What does that say about you? These males don't understand how that's very suspect. That's very suspect, man. But once
But
again,
to them, to
it's
win, it don't matter.
say that again. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. As long as they won the conversation, they'll say anything, they'll do anything.
Yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, they haven't won the conversation. But I get what you're saying, MOT. I mean, in their mind, you're saying what's according to their minds. But yeah, go ahead, MOT. What do you have
Yeah.
to say?
It's just that this is where we are. And it's like I said, black masculinity is its own thing. Because productivity isn't important. Then um, having a low count of being around nonsense, that's not important. Just keeping up nonsense in the environment, that's all it is.
Yeah,
And a lot of these people, this is it for them. This is the only way that they can interface with the world. And it's to keep repeating the same problem. So you just gotta let them be them, man. You gotta let them be okay with disrupting and destroying themselves.
Y'all want to know what's funny? When I came on the internet, I started doing content. I knew that I wasn't going to get a lot of views, and that's why I did it because I wanted to give my identity to have a counter to what I was seeing. I wanted to bring something that wasn't there because I saw the majority of men being unfocused. I'm just be real. When I first got here, all I saw was a whole bunch of dudes whining about um, women and not focusing on themselves and the real issues that's hindering them in life. And so I saw opportunity to say, hey, these are men. Let's realize that the solution to our problem begins with us. We have to get out of our own way. We can't, before we even blame anyone else, what is it about us that we're not doing? And why are we so distracted and so unfocused? Why are we not looking logically at the environment and the culture that we're in and starting to come out of that rather than trying to find some kind of structure in this chaos where there's no structure in it, but you're trying to look for something that isn't there instead of realizing that you just need to remove yourself from the problem. And when you offer that solution, yeah, people they hated that because they just wanted this lazy, magical, emotional solution where you can feel accomplished without actually doing anything.
And
And
that's where it's
so,
supplanted masculinity.
yeah, yep.
Feeling accomplished. That's what it is.
And it's like, man, and even now, I don't, I put out things because I just want to add something, something to true. Like if you hear that there's not a lot of sense or logic being said, to me, it just makes me want to be the sense and logic that I don't hear. That's an opportunity for me to express my unique individuality and mindset that has helped me in life. Because look, we've all, to some degree, have been brainwashed by growing up in this matriarchy, growing up in this dysfunctional culture. We had to shed that skin at some point. Now, not all of us have been that deep into it. Some of us, like me coming from being raised by my grandparents, and I think, MOT, you too, you know, we had structure around us to keep us. We were aware of it, but we had this structure that just proved itself the more we got older, the more we lived. It just proved why that structure is important. It literally proves itself. And we see a lot of young dudes who are stuck, who are going to be fed to this grinding, the grinder out here. The grinder is this culture of female worship and laziness and entertainment and unproductive behavior. They're being fed to that. These guys are literally telling young men to focus on chasing women rather than, building themselves.
Some who are even 50 something years old.
And I'm
Zero
just like,
embarrassment.
wow, how can you listen to that as a man? See, the only way you can be comfortable as a man to hear that is that you have not accomplished anything in your own life. To be comfortable just listening to guys tell men to waste their life.
Yeah,
I just
waste their life on on females who are not even worth a damn.
exactly.
That's what's even worse. I mean, it's bad enough that they're already wasting their lives, but to make it even worse, that you have 50-year-old males trying to encourage younger males to waste their lives on females who are not worth a damn.
Or
It's
or to just
insane.
or to be or to only build productivity to try to convince ran throughs.
Right.
Not to compete in a dominant society, not to focus on your survival and thriving in the economy, but to just make yourself desirable to be ran through by women, or torn out the frame. Because that's
To
what these dudes are. They will get torn out the frame. If you're just building so you can get some woman who's wasted her life but feels entitled to getting everything, she's gonna tear you out the frame.
but at the end of the day, a lot of these people see this as masculinity.
Right.
This is it. This is the big game. This is the big show. This is why they're doing all this. This is what it is. What it was all about for them. It was all about being used. It was all about being celebrated. It was all about getting a bad, B word. It's not about staying away from bad people. It's
Exactly.
having something that's going to cost you everything, but to normalize it and being around something that you shouldn't be around. It's
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
Damn. It's a damn shame how you got males who base masculinity on receiving the smallest piece of cake.
Yes.
Oh man, it's very sad, but I'm glad that these people are separate from me and they're imploding on themselves. It's nice to watch the tower of nonsense crumbling down. For real, it's very entertaining to watch that. Uh,
Yeah,
uh, uh.
because you know when men build themselves and we're focused on our ability to be self-sufficient, to actually contribute and bring something to society, to develop networks and do these things, you realize that you can deal with society more on your own terms. You're not in this beggarly um, situation to be exploited or manipulated because you actually have something to add to society. And these guys don't realize that they're rather go for the emotional, temporary feeling of things instead of realizing that the reason that you keep dealing with these situations is because you're not focusing on trying to create a situation where you can control your own life. You're putting your life in the hands or the thoughts or the emotions of someone else. You're not trying to build a situation where you are in a position to control your own life as much as possible. Just not doing it. And so basically your life, when you're antagonistic to that, your life becomes seeking the approval of females or trying to live off boosting the ego of a female.
Yeah, and you know the thing is spiritual logic, and afterwards, MOT can have the mic. Uh, in my life, I find it way easier to be a productive member of society and to be a producer than it is to try to. I'm not saying that I ever did, but I'm just looking at it from a common sense point of view. It's easier to be productive in life than it is to try to cater to used up pieces of shit.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it
very
is.
it's easy, and you have these idiots that want to take the hard road and receive, like I said before, the smallest piece of cake and try to please overly use, overly experience, masculine, multiple baby daddy having females.
Yeah,
They choose to take the harder road, and you know
because
what? So be it. Go
because
ahead.
structure and logic is what it is because it has proven to work. There's no feeling needed. It just works. When you have
Right.
the like when you have a career, when you have something.
Oh,
Go ahead.
hold on, hold on. I'm sorry. MOC, do you have something to say? Because
No, 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 no. Let me finish.
all right. Go ahead. Spiritual logic. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you have something to self-sufficient, when you have something to a means to develop yourself, to survive, to build a life, to do things, you find out that life tends to work more on your terms. And it's not just for women. Women are just a byproduct. That's like the last step. Not being dependent. It's like being getting as far away from this welfare mindset as possible should be the goal of men. To get to the point where you can control more of your life, where you set the parameters and the boundaries of things you're comfortable with, is getting away from the dependency and being more self-reliant and actually being able to build something that you have much more influence in. Starting with your career, starting with your personal life, everything. The women thing is a byproduct. Matter of fact, you don't even have to focus on the women part. That's going to happen when everything else is in place. That just happens. It's like if you take care of your body, you don't focus on trying to breathe every breath. You take care of your body, you do the right things, and breathing happens automatically. You don't have to focus. I'm not concentrating on every single breath I take, but that's how these dudes are with women. Instead of trying to keep themselves functional overall, they're focusing on something that becomes automatic when everything is in place.
And, and spiritual logic. I like what you just said because not only do like you said, the females will always be around and they'll automatically be there. Like you said, it's just the females are just a byproduct.
Yeah, and you
That,
eliminate
that's
the
it.
dysfunctional ones, and you
Exactly.
eliminate
I
you
was just about to
eliminate
go there. I
because
was just about to go there. But go
because
ahead.
when they realize you're focused and you can't be manipulated, they're not going to they're going to eliminate themselves. It's your ability to not have that position in life that makes you vulnerable to that kind of behavior, that kind of manipulation. Is
Yeah.
your need is your lack of focus on actually having something, you needing them that much that they use against you.
Exactly, exactly. And that's where and what I was about to where I was about to go with my statement is that once a man is in a position where he is a producer, where he is very productive, where he is in a level of success and a level of power, when it comes to the females that's going to come and go, that's always going to be around, it's all about choosing the right one that complements your life and that suits what you're
Right.
looking for. That
Exactly.
and that's it. It's that easy. It's
Yeah.
not what I'm saying is not rocket science. It's not. I'm not saying anything based upon quantum physics. I'm not telling you theory of relativity. I'm just telling basic common sense. But man of tomorrow, you have the mic, and afterwards, Black Curls can speak.
Uh, I mean, but they've sold masculinity as the ability to be around unnatural things for a very natural period of time. That's now the standard, the so-called standard, and it's like, wow. And I just sit here and I'm just like, you know what? Stuff obviously isn't going to last forever. And the only thing you can do now, like right now, like I think like August or September, I just stopped doing content. I'm like, why am I doing this? These people, if I have 2 years of the same message in different ways in different facets, it's time to just talk about the next stuff after you've left all the stuff alone. And the people who are naturally not going to want to be here, they're going to eliminate themselves because they haven't left the older stuff alone. And well, people have to realize that I didn't do all this so that way I could go relive all this stuff all over again. To put myself in the mind state and the mind frame to where I have to keep looking at the stuff over again. Like, man, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Black Curls, what do you have to say?
All right. Salute to everybody on the panel.
So,
What's up?
What's up? How you doing? All right.
I'm alright. Y'all guys.
yeah.
I'm okay. All right.
Doing good.
All right. Well, I mean, y'all were cooking so far, and I actually woke up and I was like, "Oh shoot, Wacky's live. Let me add my 2 cents into this." I mean, I was saying in the comments, like, when you're just wasting your, your life, you're just simply doing nothing and not making good use out of it. But then when you just waste it on a woman, you're actively just sabotaging yourself and just throwing like yourself into the fire to just get manipulated and used and just burned and expendable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you're in that position, usually males in that position, who's exemplifies what Black Curls was talking about. They're relying on females for not only some sex, but for a roof to live under, money in their pocket, it, a bed to sleep in, and you're putting yourself in and when men do that, they put themselves in a very weak position. And like I said before, they're actually taking the harder road because the easier road, in my eyes, is being self-sufficient. To me, that's the easier road. I don't know. To me, as a man, I just think it's easier to put yourself in a position where you're self-sufficient than it is to rely on other people.
Yeah, not just that, but what's the value of sex? Because this is about sexual access. They're not even talking about the cultural and legal issues of um women in society, but just sexual access. What is the value of sexual access in a culture where men and women both don't have standards?
I
Thank
Like,
you.
think.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, this is we have a whoredom of a culture and filled with males who worship that. I mean, you can't. It doesn't get any worse than that.
you know, Spiritual logic. It's funny because moments ago you brought up the importance of males having sexual discipline,
Right.
in which, once again, the way I was raised, that's considered basic. I'm not trying to put down what you were saying, but I'm just saying based on how I was raised, and I'm sure based on how you brothers on this panel was raised, having sexual discipline was like basic necessities that a man should have. To me,
Yeah.
that's the basic necessities. And I've been on streams, and even in my own stream, where I would speak upon men having sexual discipline, and I was met with a lot of backlash. You know,
Oh yeah.
it's like
Of course.
it's almost like I was speaking bad about their mamas or something like that. The way they was reacting to me, it's like no, 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 no. It's like what the hell? I'm like,
Yeah, you'll be bitch broke.
Exactly. I'm like, hold on. You're getting emotional and mad over something that's going to benefit you. Damn, I know we live in the twilight zone when I'm seeing this. So, oh man, MOC, what do you have to say?
Yeah. Because this whole place is ran on and trying to run you back into being sexually undisciplined. Like like once you take away their end goal or even show them how stupid it is, it's it's painful for them to even think about not having the actual thing that's putting them so far behind. They can't think about it. It's too painful for them to do something as simple as leaving this stuff alone. And for them, this has been their whole life. It's managing the simple fact that they haven't, swam around with stakes around them and they haven't got eaten up by the shark yet. This is their life. This
Yeah.
is their life. And
Hmm.
you have to realize that they're trying to net as many people into their future failure as possible. This is what they're trying to do. They don't really care about nothing else except for that. And you have to realize that this is the end goal. The end goal of the manosphere, the way it is now, is to empower women.
And the women are fine with it. That's why the
Okay,
biggest
sure
streams are
is.
always going to be uh about women, because women are happy that men are worshiping them like this. They're just happy. They couldn't have hoped for a weaker males around them. They couldn't. This is like a dream for them, because right now these guys are so weak and so undisciplined and so unfocused that women don't have to do anything. They don't
Yeah,
have to do anything. Society used to actually keep women in check because female nature is always going to be female nature. That's why having a culture and societal consequences was important, because that actually prevented and kind of incentivized women to have a certain to move a certain way, because they would get excommunicated, they would get cast out, or they wouldn't be able to survive. That's why culture functioned that way, because it actually didn't give space for women to be anything else but what they need to be to survive. But when the men don't have no discipline, we bring structure. So without structure, there's nothing to contain female nature, and so the roles actually reverse, and it goes. Everything is manipulation, and everything is emotional, and that's exactly what we got here. I mean, basically, all the women have to do is say, "Niggas ain't shit," and these dudes will dance. They'll dance instead of realizing that you know the problem is in their ability to not build themselves, not develop themselves, and not disengage the system that doesn't prioritize them in the right position. That's it.
well said. That's well said. Uh, Black Curls, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, because when a spiritual logic was talking about sexual access, like that's the main thing women capitalize on what they offer to a man, and then also kids too. But guess what? When it comes to that transaction, it is actually a transaction, because women act like it's completely one-sided, but you're giving her sexual access as well, and then she also needs you to make children. So it's not like, oh, you only get this from her, because she's getting it from you as well. So it's not really anything to leverage over, and women love to pretend that they don't like having sexual access to men. So that's what they try to leverage against men as well.
But and the only way females could leverage that is if males do not have sexual discipline. When
Right,
they don't
because
have
sexual
sexual,
discipline also protects
yeah,
you.
yeah. Because when you have sexual discipline, not only does it protect you, but you able to see through all that bullshit, And as a male, you able to see your real value.
Exactly.
Yeah, your real value in society. But man, tomorrow you have the mic. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. And a lot of women don't see that as something that they want to quote unquote go back to when that was always the standard from the first beginning. So it's not something that you're actually going back to. It's something that's always been the standard. You just haven't been exercising it. And what you have to realize that most women in this society are acculturated sociopaths. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, they will act like they will act stupid, they will act like things that are not even up for debate or somehow up for debate, just like how the men act within the society and the environment. So you have to realize that most of these people who are acting like they get it and acting like they care about black, they don't. They don't. Because if they did, they would be correcting their homegirls, not not being around men talking. They would be around women who are actually doing things that are incredibly messed up. They wouldn't need to be around men at all because they have
Yeah.
a lot of issues among the women. So there's no reason to be around men at all. There is no room for you to even be here because the women need so much help. Because the lack of focus on the women is actually still giving them power. And they need to stop acting like being around us is somehow fixing the issue. Danica Marieing your way through things. It doesn't work ministering to us about things we already know about. You need to take the message to the women
Yep.
who are actually not doing what they're supposed to do within the environment. And this is why I don't take most women seriously within this space because they 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 can't possibly see for the life of me how much harm that they're continuing to allow to be happening within the environment by not concentrating on the women who are actually the problem within the environment.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Spiritual logic. What do you have to say?
And also, we got to remember that the women understand that the legal leverage that they have, that they fought and begged for equality with men. So they know strategically what they're doing, and they're trying to play like,
Play
they like
coy.
this. Yeah, they love the system where they put man they try to convince men that there's hope, knowing that as long as the system is designed like this, they always have that exit strategy for them where they don't have to do nothing. And it's always, if you want me to do something, they're telling the men, if you want me to do something, what are you going to do for me? And that's not how things are supposed to work. And men need to understand that and understand that this culture and society is illogical. It's not going to work for a man that's actually productive, that's actually focused. It's not going to work that way. And women are going to fight tooth and nail to keep it dysfunctional, where they always have the leveraging chip to make men dance for them, to convince them to be something, to fake their femininity, to do all these things because and women are weaponizing their sex appeal, and that's why another
Of course
reason
they
that
are.
men need to be more focused because they keeping the men unfocused. They're putting so much sex around these guys, and they're men and women. If you go back, generations and generations ago, men and women usually weren't in the same areas in society. The men were with the men, and the women were with the women, and the only time they were together was in the home as a family. There wasn't a lot of this commingling going on. That's something relatively new, and that's keeping men unfocused because now men can't focus on nothing without putting the woman spin on it. But it's about women. You at work. What are you working for? I'm working for a woman. Are you not working for to actually add something functional to society, to bring out your potential as a man? You're not doing anything because when you do that, when you be who you are as a man, or you were designed to be as a man, you actually have something to add to society. You actually bring a certain structure to society. But when you put all your attention, all your focus, and trying to empower the one that was designed to work for you, she is going to reject her role because she doesn't have to do anything. And that's why, women could change these things overnight. All women had to do, and they're never going to do it, but all they had to do is protest like they protest for abortion to give men legal authority over them and their children. Because then women will have to choose the right men to survive. There's no more this, I can get anybody or choose or sleep with everybody at the same time. No, but they're never going to do that. And so men have to reject this culture. And they don't want to do that because they like the feeling of having all this sexual access to women who just playing them. They love that feeling. They love being lied to.
Once again, they love receiving the smallest piece of cake in the whole room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good morning,
but
brothers.
good morning, Brown Bird. I see you here.
What's
So,
up?
Brown Bird,
So,
thank you for coming on my panel. What do you
you know
have
it's all
to?
love.
Yeah, oh, most definitely. So, what do you have to contribute to this conversation?
So I was looking at your title and I was just thinking about especially spiritual logic. If I don't want to pronounce your name wrong, brother. I know if that's it. Is it spiritual
Yeah, you
logic?
good. You good.
Okay,
That's it.
okay. So I was looking at the title and it's taking me back to what I see on social media being promoted all day long. Now I try my best to just get up. I just deactivated one of my profiles just to chill. But my thing about it is that what you see now is just plainly obvious that sex is a mainstay for a lot of the modern day women. And the thing about it is, it's like I just watched two challenges in a row this week and last week. It went from the busted challenge, now they're saying the silhouette challenge. And I'm just sitting up there saying, if it's not being made obvious that men need to have higher standards now, I don't know what is. Like, it's only much you can go into getting reeled into the sexual aspect from a woman. And that's why I kick back on men that constantly have to look at getting pussy as a validation. It doesn't prove anything. My thing is that when brothers is more geared and focused, like spiritual logic said, they're actually able to come together and produce something to help the whole entire community, thus the whole world. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it just bothers me that when we're getting down to the nitty gritty, you're still looking for the validation of women instead of working on yourself first and with the Most High. Because a lot of people these days is not really getting into the spiritual aspect at all. They'll say, "Oh yeah, well I read the Bible once or twice." That's not the point. Your relationship with the Most High is the first and foremost. I've always made that a mainstay in my life, and I'm still trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad that he put me there to understand. But back to my point, the whole internet thing is a facade, yo. Like, it's a facade where people have to be validated by numbers or notoriety. My thing is, if it's not a message that's being spread, what are you doing it for? And that's my whole entire point that I wanted to give out. But y'all go ahead, brothers.
That's a very good point, and I've always emphasized that I'm not here for popularity. I'm not here for entertainment. I'm here for the message because I have a message to bring. So I don't care about how many subscribers I have or don't have, or how many views I have or don't have. Where's the message? Because at the end of the day, the substance behind these YouTube videos should be about the message that you're conveying, or the message that content creators are conveying, and B, the impact that they have on society in the outside world. But unfortunately, in this space, we don't see enough of that. But Man of Tomorrow, you have the mic, and afterwards, Black Curl's gonna have the mic.
All right. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm be able to get up out of here after this last statement. But you know, we have to have a stream on leverage. There's a bunch of things that's being leveraged within this space. They want to leverage that being a pookie doesn't have any consequences associated with it. They want to leverage that being sexually undisciplined doesn't have any consequences associated with it. They want to leverage that you're going to get your chance once you become 50 to be a YouTuber someday. Like nothing's at stake. So it's like Your future is being leveraged. But a lot of these people are bombarded with these issues around them, and they don't understand how really just having your stuff together and not needing these people's adulation for any type of reason is actually something that's going to help you overall.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Black Curls, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'd like to add to spiritual's point because about them changing the laws because abortion is, of course,
Oh,
to
hold
give
on.
them as
I'm
much
sorry. I'm
power as
sorry.
possible.
Hold on, Black Girls. Hold on, Black Girls. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I forgot.
Uh,
Have a good night, man. Tomorrow, man. It's all tomorrow. Just left. I
Peace,
guess he got to
MLT.
leave. So
Oh yeah,
Peace,
yeah,
peace,
peace.
man. It's all.
yeah. So I apologize, Black Girls. Continue.
Yeah, with them making the laws change, so that can give men authority. We know spiritual that they definitely aren't because you said that earlier. And with women, when it comes to abortion, it is their way of leveraging the man because guess what? Abortion's only okay when the woman wants to initiate it. Because God forbid a man wants an abortion, these women are gonna push back. It's like, oh, he's killing a
Of
baby.
course.
And notice that when they have 100% authority over whether the child is born, but men have to bear the responsibility. So if a man doesn't want the baby, but she does, the baby's born. If she doesn't want the baby, but the man wants the baby's not born. And always
Yep.
assume sexual irresponsibility with these women because they will always put the onus on you just so they could play the victim cards because they love to pull it out. And that's why I kind of slightly disagree spiritual about a complete reversal because women aren't consistent. They like to cherry pick the parts that benefit them when they want to do these reversals mainly. So this case is a reversal where they cherry pick.
All right. So we have someone new on the panel. Well, Sheila's not new to my overall channel, but she's new on this panel, tonight's panel. So Sheila, either Quiet Storm, how you doing?
I'm fine. How everybody doing? I'll be honest.
Hey,
I
what's up?
come in email
Peace,
spaces
dear.
because I want to hear your point of view. Being it's like I'm the only black ones at the Congress table speaking up for y'all. It ain't the Caucasian women. It ain't the Asians. It ain't the Latinos. Those the ones who they're married to, our brothers married to, but when it comes to policies and laws, they ain't saying nothing at the table to stop them, to block y'all through contract, through education, through economics. Also, I'm bringing up about Kamala Harris legalizing prostitution. Who do you think they're gonna target? Nobody on these YouTube streets, not even a female, mentioning that. So my thing is that's another trait to put my brothers in jail. So my thing is that if they're gonna legalize prostitution, I would like for the males to have a contract because that gives the woman a right to say, well, I have a legal right to sell my body. And he try to get over on me, take my money and rape. There's a lot of doors open behind that. But I don't hear no males
Hmm.
saying nothing about that on the YouTube streets.
Interesting you brought up that because yeah, I've been hearing about it too, and no one's really talking about it. And then I thought they really weren't going to do it because when it comes to prostitution and sexual access, like we talked about spiritual, it actually commodifies the viscosity, so it makes it
Mhm.
less valuable.
But that's a very interesting point that Sheila E brought out because let's say you legalize, let's say prostitution is legalized all throughout all 50 states of the United States. That can open the door to increase more rape allegations
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
on the part of these legal prostitutes. So
And mhm.
that's an interesting point. But spiritual logic, what do you have to say?
Yeah, and it gives it's going to be the same issue with abortion. It gives women more leverage to be have things on their terms. So they're going to determine whether it was actual business or whether it was rape. Because, you know, that's what it is. You're going to them. It's like with abortion, the woman has the womb. So they took that and they assumed that, well, because she has the womb, even though it's the man's seed, that she controls that. With prostitution, the woman's offering her body. So it's the same dynamic. It's going to be relative to that. She controls whether it's sex or whether it's business. Because don't think that when prostitution becomes legal, that women are going to stop having casual sex. But what is going to be the determining factor?
And that's where the
Right.
proposal come in too, spiritual, because that's when we're gonna put that in there too. A man have also a right, he had not have a right to have a say so when a woman want to have abortion. Where
Yeah,
is
and
his
also,
rights? Because my thing is for
Right.
the males, what they're doing, they're using us females in corporate, in politics to go against our black brothers. So
Right.
I'm one of the sisters who, what this said, Governor Como said, and Ms. Sheila, if you have one law you would like to pass, what is it? And that was easy to me. I said, I would like for my black brothers to have equal rights like any other race.
Right.
And
Good
he's
point.
like, wow. I said, yes, because y'all have it. Y'all been at the bottom so many years. So many years y'all been at the bottom. And I having a panel February the 5th at 5 o'clock on this too. And I got Red Casanova, Pill, I got Cuda, and then also Wacky. I'm having my mayor coming to Angry Man panel. I'm gonna start the political people I be with, I put in place. I'm gonna start having them on the YouTube streets because a lot of things y'all saying, don't think it's sitting on dead ears. I'm bringing this back to my Congress. Things that y'all hitting on, I mean, there's a lot of stuff need to be changed. And like I said, y'all not lazy. It's a lot of laws and politics against y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all don't
Mm-hmm.
even know it. Y'all don't even know. I'm telling you, I sit at the table. I was in a room with 250 people, and they try to pass a law to target black males. I was the only one in that room to say something.
Damn. Damn.
Wow.
Ain't that some
Let
shit?
me,
Damn.
let,
Yeah.
Go ahead,
And
Bambo.
they
What you
taught me
got to say?
everything I know. They taught me everything I know when I was on the Democrat committee. And what you know I
Hold on,
do?
Sheila.
Go ahead.
Hold on, Sheila. I know you have a lot to say, but Brown Bird, he wanted to say something.
all right. Well, shout out to Sheila E, because we we all from New York, so I'm always gonna rep my New York family. Be like, I'm down with y'all. But
Oh, no
I have
doubt.
to.
No doubt. Don't let. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Don't let
yeah.
the
You,
liquor out of my
nah, you
picture
know we
for you.
excited. It's
No
all
doubt.
love, bro. Yeah, so I appreciate that. Well, let me say this. It makes me happy to know that, black women such as yourself is trying to change the paradigm because, all the time it's always about these statistics that black men don't do this and black men don't do that. And it's like, well, damn, we're sitting there trying to change the paradigm when we're looking at the statistics now and they're saying 64% of so-called black men is getting to the middle class. Brothers that I speak around is sitting up there talking about, yo, look, listen, let's get on this investments, let's get on these businesses, let's do this, let's do that. We don't want to work for the man no more. So we're living in this time where it's being a little bit more harmonious for us brothers and just being like, look, we only want to deal with women that suit our interest. And look, we don't want to make it an anomaly, you know what I'm saying? But it's just that for a change, I would just like to think that people are listening. You understand what I'm saying? You don't have to agree with anything that we have to say, just listen. And with those rules and those regulations that come up, especially with prostitution, they don't want to even call it prostitution anymore. They want to call it sex work. And of course, it goes into what could financially benefit in the country. That's the way I see it. What can financially benefit? So a lot of the things that's just, I wouldn't say necessarily morally wrong. I would just say, well, it's hard to say that because prostitution has always been there, but it's just a fact of the matter. Like I know the reason why they're doing it, and of course, it is a goad against us as men. So for a reason to lock us up and just be like, well, this is a qualified thing, and it hurts because the rape allegations are serious. We've seen so many times black men have been accused of falsely raping someone when they never did it in the first place, or they had a sexual encounter and they got accused of sexual misconduct. And it's like, dude, like I've seen it with a lot of people, especially when you look at celebrities. They did it as well, and it's just like, yo, like, why are they being held to the fire for something they didn't do? And it's just a shame because in this country, you seen it being pandered towards women so much, and it's just like, yo, but us as men, give us our respect, yo, like, give us what we deserve. So I just want to put that out there. It was just on my mind. So yeah.
But respect is going to have to be, respect comes with power, and power have to be taken.
Right.
You can't be asked for it. You already know that, Brown Bird. But
black girls, on your square.
Yeah, stay on your square. So black girls, I know black girls have something to say, but I want Sheila E to finish because Sheila E was stating how she was in some sort of Democratic convention. Before he was getting that. What was your point? I want you to finish making that point.
You get there, Sheila?
You could
No,
mute yourself.
yeah,
Sheila.
we was at a meeting, and they try to pass a law that if any males or females, and they were in the inner city who had weed, that they was going to take the car, not just pound it, but take it. Okay, and also if they see them with a container open beer, they're going to give them a fine for $100. Also, smoking cigarettes for $100. So I had to really, for half an hour and stuff, and I was like, now, if you look at it, because I live in a town, but this is in a city, who do you see doing these things? I said, when you talk about weed, is the people from the suburb coming here buying weed. But when you're looking at somebody drinking or smoking, that's the more people in the inner city. So then we had to work with that. A lot of people came out for the town concerning weed, because those are the Caucasian kids driving their mother Benz, Mercedes, Jaguar to come and get the drugs in the inner city. So they turned the whole county out. So it worked all in my favor. That one piece right there, with all the other ones, did not pass that law. So what I had to find out too, Wacky, that instead of me, because they know I'm radical, I shut down city halls, I get brothers and everything. I had to get some strong brothers to sit at the table with our Congress and talk the talk. And I had to train them. This how they do. Now y'all educate, y'all know it, but this how you got to talk to them. This is weak spot. This is strong spot. Well, let me tell you something about y'all black males. Y'all don't know how powerful y'all is. When y'all sit at the table with them, this is so fearful of y'all. That's why they try to keep y'all oppressed. That's why they try to stereotype y'all, stuff like that. Because they know once y'all get in power and position, that's it. And I learned that for being around them.
Agreed.
And I go on mute.
So black curls, you have the mic, and afterwards spiritual logic have the mic. You have to say black curls.
Yeah, I wanted to add to Brown Bird's point, but Sheila, great things you just told us just now. Brown Bird, when it came to these allegations and accusations, especially the movement for Me Too, it was always meant to be used against black men in particular, because even the founder herself, who got assaulted by a white dude, she was like, "Why is it my job to go after white men?" So I'm like, if a black woman gets assaulted by a white man, you're not gonna say anything. You're only gonna say if the perpetrator is black or alleged perpetrator.
Agreed.
Hold on. Is that what that KRS-One looking chick said? She said that?
Yeah, Tarana Burke, she said that herself, and even someone called her out on it. She's like, she even admitted that's what she said, but she tried to make it sound like she's not singling out black men when she talks or speaks out against allegations.
Man. Oh, this world's going to hell in a handbasket, but spiritual logic.
Yeah. And I want to add with the policy change. I see having discipline goes hand in hand with the policy change, because we have to always, as men, be aware of our part. I tell men all the time, we have to create the space for women to be around us. That's what we have to do. A woman is not going to do anything that you don't create the situation for her to do. And I think men just have to be more aware while we're working to change policy. We have to have a certain kind of awareness, discipline, and self control about us, because as long as we're vulnerable to manipulation, to being so easily distracted, it's even if the policy was in place, men will still walk right into the problem because are willing to do anything to get around a woman. It's like um it's like even dudes who know that a woman, they see the wrong woman to be around, but since they have no discipline, they still want to have sex with her. They get the wrong woman pregnant. We know the legal condition and environment. What's going to happen? But if you would have had discipline from the beginning, like I think it was you, Wacky, who said, if you have sexual discipline, you will see the true intention of that woman before you even get involved with it, and so you can choose to
Precisely.
walk away.
Right.
But you're not going to get there until you have some kind of self-control. You know, you're not going to be able to see that. You're going to be so infatuated, so lust-driven that your brain is not going to be able to function and critically think what is exactly going on here. Because if you're just, if you're just idolizing women, then you're going to make everything what it needs to be for you to get that woman. And it's not going to be logical. It's not going to be reality. It's going to be on her terms and what she wants, because a woman can see a weak man a mile away.
Yeah, yeah. And spiritual logic, these types of males, they're not even idolizing females. They're idolizing vagina.
Yeah.
Not even the who she is,
Yeah.
or the substance of who she is. They're idolizing that vagina, and they're weak for that vagina. But like we all agree, that's a result of not having discipline, not having
Yeah.
sexual discipline. And it's funny how these types of males, they'll argue with you up and down when you talk to them about having sexual discipline, and they don't see the light until it's too late, until they have a couple of children by a couple of females, and their paycheck every week, they end up with $43.62.
Exactly.
You was a mess,
and
Wacky.
that's when they eyes are finally open. But by that time, it's too late. It's a day late and
Yeah.
$1 short. But in this case, $43 short.
But guys, can I keep it real with y'all though? On the female side, I'ma speak truth. Don't the Bible tell y'all to stay away from this woman? Don't you
Yep.
know that we so treacherous? What y'all built for decades, we could tear down in a couple of weeks. We could we could come in, we could destroy your marriage. We could take your retirement. Everything y'all built for a woman, a treacherous woman, a harlot. She's selfish. She's cutting. She's sneaky. She's a liar. And let me tell you something. I seen men that I grew up with got killed behind a woman. Women would set a man up. If let me tell you something. If your enemy want to get to you, he'll bring a woman to you. And that's what I'm saying. Some of these guys sleep on us. Let me tell you something about us. Some of us is not souls y'all think we are. Y'all better ask God for the gift of discernment, because some of these women is the devil. They're harlot. They're Jezebel. They got those Jezebel spirits. I'm telling you.
Well, the Bible, speaking of the Bible, it gives a good image of the law. And the law basically is like the law of, seeing what's really wrong with you. Like, a lot of men don't think that, their lust is wrong until it costs them something. But when you understand that lust, self-control, are kind of opposites, then you understand why lust is a problem. Because lust is the absence of self-control, because you're not thinking. And so, men need to have an accurate reflection of themselves up to a real standard so we can see what our weaknesses are, so we can see what we need to develop, what is costing us. Like life is trial and error. And that's why experience is so valuable, because you can learn what's right and what's good based on the results and the outcomes. But see, now we live in this society where men don't want to take personal responsibility for nothing. They
Mm-hmm.
just don't. And they just expect, the emotional, I'm a man, that should be enough. But men have a logical mind. We can use reason. We can use results. We can test things. We can do trial and error. We can look at the outcomes of things and reverse engineer what happened. And that's how men think. But that's void of emotion, because that's just looking at the results for what they are. And as long as men, because let me tell you something, if a man doesn't have any awareness of his issues, of his weaknesses, a woman is always going to be that, put that Jezebel on him and take and distract him and deceive him. Like dudes don't even realize that they're too concerned about what women say. I tell dudes all the time, I don't care what a woman says to me because I know myself. So she can tell me anything, but I already know who I am. So I know whether I'm not looking to validate it on what she says. I can really just, if anything, confirm whether she's lying or not based on who I know I am. But if you don't have any knowledge of self, you'll believe anything a woman tells you. And you're not thinking, what is she telling you these things for if you don't know yourself? Like women use the ego. The ego is the number one tactic that women use to deceive men. They just tell you what you want to hear. And as long as you feel good and content with being told what you want to hear, you're willing to do whatever she wants you to do. And that's the problem with these dudes.
Yeah.
Right.
Males have to learn, or males have to learn the aspect of being properly grounded, having strong roots, for so that if a wind blows, you can never be taken down. Or in other words, if someone tries to manipulate you or try to hurt your ego, supposedly, or for example, you'll never be able, or no one can never be able to tear you down, or say things about you that you already know to yourself is not true, because when you're properly grounded, you are secure in yourself and who you are. And that's what spiritual logic was saying.
Exactly.
I'm just, and we need to put emphasis on that. So, Black Curls, you have the mic, and after Black Curls is Brown Bird, and after Brown Bird is Sheila E. Go ahead, Black Curls. What do you have to say?
Yeah, Sheila, you're right about the Bible mentioning men to walk away. I think it's specifically in Proverbs about men like going to the desert to avoid a treacherous woman, and even in contemporary times when it comes to trafficking, many times the woman was the mediator helping a man get more of these girls victims as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Even specifically the book of Proverbs and the book of Ecclesiastes, which was both written by King Solomon, who had plenty of females. He tell you the dangers of being with a evil and
Stop
treacherous
taking
female.
my part, Wacky.
Well, go ahead, Brown Bird. You got the mic.
Uh, I would just like to say, going off of Sheila E's point, even through real life experiences, like I hear about how, especially when it comes to the gangs in New York, me and Wacky was joking on Elite's panel one time, like, yo, we should take Elite over to Edgemere. But we just
I
yeah,
remember that.
yeah. Yeah, so I was saying, like, I remember those stories about those dudes that's involved in the gangs, and in order for it to be set up, they would have the parties, but they'd be like, yo, just remember to bring the bitches. That's what they would say. And they'd be like, yo, some girl would be like, yo, come through, come through. And I mean, I like to make references because I'm still learning the Bible. I'm making references to a song. So Mobb Deep's song Trife Life, they say in the song about how some shorty called him up. It's like, yo, meet me on Myrtle and Whitby or whatever it was, and train stop off the G train. Found out it was a truck or a van with a black tinted window. And that's the point, yo. Like, I even have discussions with brothers around me that might be a little bit older than me, and they like, yo, like this girl is tripping, yo. this girl is tripping. I was like, okay, cool, you have the right mindset, but yo, I'm trying to smash though. So it does go back to the point. I don't mean to rebuttal it again, but I stress so much, and they get at me. They be like, "Oh, how come you not really focused on how come you not trying to date?" I said, "Look, listen. My thing is, I'm trying to figure the lifestyle out. You understand what I'm saying? In terms is my vision and what I see, and that's not because temptation can be something. Lust, I view as a type of euphoric feeling, because what you really want is that good sensation that comes from sex or come from lust, but it can only get you two things: disappointment or an actual child. And it could do that. Now you can have your happiness in it. You can be like, hey, I got off. I'm grateful for getting off. But at the end of the day, are you willing to deal with that woman long term? Are you willing to deal with that woman when she's in her whims and she's doing things out of the ordinary? You're probably not. And I know the brothers that got children with these women right now, and those women still sleep around. They still sleep around with multiple dudes while having children, and they'll even be married. And it's just like, yo, like, the main focus that I will always say, and again, I don't mean to rebuttal, men have to focus on themselves. With focusing on themselves, yes, I believe in a spiritual aspect. So I think you should come to as much as you can the Most High, and that's what I believe, man. Like, y'all gotta make sure. Look, the fun time will come in time when you feel ready and when you're good, when you're on your square and you're doing what you're supposed to do. So
That's well said, Brown Bird. That's well said. Uh,
Well said.
Sheila E., what do you have to say?
I'm going to keep it short. Now, you look at the three powerful men in the Bible. One, King Solomon. Remember, he could have asked for anything in the world. We asked for wisdom, right? David. And then also Samson, the strongest man in the Bible, in the world. Three of them, all three of them. Who took them down? A woman. King Solomon, all his 700 wives. David, peeking and looking in the window. Samson, Delilah, she wanted to know where his strength come from. And that's what I'm saying. It took women's, because you gotta realize we was made for y'all. So if they couldn't do it, and it was the men of God, because God said David was a man after his own heart. What make you think a man don't have standards or morals gonna really contain himself from a woman, a lustful spirit? And it come from the home setting. Majority of our males had not had a positive figure in the household. They had not had their dad or their grandfather or their uncle or just a mentor in a nonprofit organization. So some of them had to teach themselves, which is not easy. And they learn as they go. But what I'm trying to say, really, really, really study who y'all entertain. And y'all be able to know, is she a good spirit or a bad spirit? Because every woman around you ain't for lusting or want to be with you. Because I was a tomboy and I hung with boys when I was growing up. But what I'm just saying to y'all brothers, just be careful. Because some women try to have a baby for a come up, because that's what they do, live off of social service and Section 8. So just be careful who you affiliate with, and be careful who you put your seed in.
true.
Yeah, I disagree with that. Yeah.
Well said.
Uh, uh-huh. So, spiritual logic. Do you have anything to say? Uh,
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That I think that goes without saying that the guys need to be okay. We know how the world is entrapping. The world is going to get us. We know the ways that the world gets man into the legal system through your seed, through state sanctioned marriages. And look, we got to be honest, because society is so illogical that they have empowered women on a legal level to be equal to a man, and I'm saying in terms of, because I always go back to the authority and responsibility. Women want men to be fully responsible, but you can't do that without having full authority to make sure it happens, that you can control what's happening in your life. We don't have that. So marriage is basically out of context because men should have legal authority to be in a marriage. That's how marriage, that's the function of a man, being the head of his family and of his wife. But now this whole partner mindset, so men have to share authority with a woman who's going to vindicate herself of her responsibility. So she's held unaccountable. It never works. And so men have to realize that how you move in society, you need to move in a way where you don't give any leverage to a woman to use against you to the court system. You just need to, because the way you avoid that is that you always deal with that woman on your terms. There's no middle, there's no mediation. Just like, I hate to say it, but when you have a child, that birth certificate means the state controls your children. When you get married, you married the state. The woman is just using that issue to get some of your money, because all that money, all your money goes through the court system, and she can get it through the court system. So we have to understand the reality of the system and culture and society we live in. It is not marriage friendly. It is not male friendly. And so if men understand that and stop being hopeful on something that objective reality is telling us it's not possible, and because look at it, look at the divorce rate, look at the family court situations, look at all the men, and I'm not talking about the ones who are idiots. Let the fool get what he deserves. Because any fool that remains a fool, like we all may have played the fool at some point, and that should have hopefully only been once. But the only fool who deserves what he gets is the one who remains a fool. And we have to look at the evidence and the experiences that we go through to avoid getting through this system. And if women are using that, because I told dudes all the time, the reason they're empowering women and alternative lifestyle people is because these are two groups who depend on more government oversight. They use government policy to control what we do. That's the only reason they're empowering that, because women are always going to beg for more government to help. That's why they always keep the victim card in the back pocket. Now, women who have wisdom about them, they hate this system because they know it's not going to work out in the end. But unfortunately, most women would rather control men and burn society down in the process. That's just a reality. So we have to understand that we need to start having kids just out of recreation. That's the dumbest thing in this environment. Just having kids out of recreation. Are you serious? If you don't have sexual discipline, wear a condom. Stop engaging in state-sanctioned institutionalized marriages. Once the court systems get involved, it is not going to be what you think it is. And I thought that every man should know that. Now, I'm not saying that you can risk it. If you really feel like you vetted a woman good enough, I wouldn't advise it. But if you feel like you can risk it, that's on you, because as long as you know the consequences of that decision. But this society is basically staying illogical to basically destroy men and destroy the family. Because once you do those two things, everybody's dependent on the government. It was either the government or men. Now that women have chosen the government to be the headship of their family, because even when you get married, you're putting the government in your business. And women didn't fight to get married without government intervention or give up their rights in terms of all these things, because a lot of women wanted to have the right to choose the wrong man. They just wanted to have the right to choose the wrong man and have the government clean it up. That's why they're not going to go against that, because they don't want to be right. They don't want to do the right thing, because when you do the right thing, you held responsible and accountable to do your end of the bargain. And why would you want to do that if you just want to get over? So they don't want a just system, because that means men will have to fulfill their role and women will have to fulfill theirs. They want the society where women don't have to do anything, because the men are so weak, they can seduce men into a trap. And then once they get what they want, they can go around and be the hoes that they always wanted to be. That's the society we live in. The sooner everybody understands that, the sooner everybody can wake up and we can start making good choices and decisions, and we can move with some wisdom. That doesn't mean you can't interact with a woman, but it means that how you do it and the way you do it needs to be very responsible and very wise. And I just think that that's, how many men have to get ran through the court system, get divorced, pay alimony while your wife, your ex-wife is playing with her boyfriend. How many men got to go through that before we wake up? That's why the power begins with us. We have to. Women are always going to be women. They're going to always be manipulative. They're going to always tell you what you want to hear. They're going to always do that. Women have been like that since the beginning of time. The thing that's changing are the men. We, as a collective, are weak as hell. We're weak, and we too concerned about everybody else other than us. Once we correct that, we good.
Great points. Great points. Great points. And which is why I always emphasize that as men, especially us as so-called black males in this space, we have to be more politically active. We have to, because in order to, if we want to build a society if we want a society that's going to be more fair to men, we're going to have to be the ones to fight for that. If we want a society that's going to end injustice for men, we're going to have to fight for that. It's not going to be given to us. We're going to have to fight for that. And I'm not getting the fact that you have a lot of these content creators in this space who claim to be so intelligent and so wise, and who are master teachers or what have you, but yet when you emphasize on being politically active to help benefit, to be politically active in order to establish policies that would benefit men, especially so-called black males, all of a sudden they don't sound like master teachers anymore. They sound like master bitches. You know what I'm saying? And that's real talk. So, Black Curls, you have the mic, and afterwards, Brown Bird, you speak.
Yeah, you were talking your shit just now, spiritual. Now I have this question because you're right, also wacky, that we need to be more politically involved. But I'd like to address that, we have this goddess kind of worship in the community where the women are just the mother gods of earth and they're just put on this pedestal at astronomical rates unlike anyone else. So when it comes to political power, my concern is that black men in particular, wouldn't they just, because they're weak as fuck right now, wouldn't they just give the power to the women to cater to their queens and goddesses?
Well, of course, I mean, that's the problem. So, look, everybody's not going to make it. But I'm talking about the men who actually see a problem with the way things are.
Hold on, spiritual. Hold on, spiritual. Brown Bird, what do you have to say? Because I stated that Brown Bird would speak after.
Oh yeah,
Black Curls.
My bad.
I'll let him answer the question. I'll go after him.
No,
all right, cool.
Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead, you got it.
Go ahead, spiritual. Go ahead.
Yeah, my bad. I thought it was a question about Black Curls was asking me. That's why I jumped in. Yeah, I mean, it's sad, man. Like, unfortunately, this worship of women, this whole living for the woman and not living men, our primary function as men is to keep society functional, is to maintain structure and order, because there's no survival without order. That's what we bring to society. We are a reflection of the law of conscience, keeping some kind of order that we prevent dysfunctional behavior from destroying everybody. That's what men bring to society. If we lose focus on that to chase something that should be chasing us, it's on the burden of women to qualify themselves to men. That's never been us to qualify ourselves to women. I don't know where that came from. because men have bigger things we need to be focused on. And women should see men that are focused and have to prove why they need to be, how they can be helpful in that man's life. That's how I always thought it to be. I don't know where this whole notion that men have to um, prove themselves to women or something. I'm like, where did that come from? Because if you're already a man, you're already establishing yourself. You already are building something. You already are focused on what's important. It's the woman that needs to secure a place in society with a man. So I don't, we got to get away, definitely get away from that woman worship and get back to some kind of order. Now, I don't, the government unfortunately is not going to promote that because they're using chaos and dysfunction to bring in a different kind of government. This communistic totalitarianism police state government. And women like that, they're using the women, they empower them just to bring that in. That's why everybody's running amok. That's why the alphabet community and all these people around here, they seem to have all this power because they want society to be in chaos. Because who's going to come in as the great hero at the end? The government. And of course, we know there's an agenda to that people are going to turn a blind eye to what the true agenda behind the government cleaning up the chaos and what their solution is going to be. But anyway, I'm always going to say it begins with us as men. Women are only going to be able to get away with doing stuff to us that we allow. You have to bring that woman in your life. You have to create a situation where she can affect you. Once we understand that, the rest is, then we can start building on everything else.
Good point, spiritual. I'll make the confession towards Shirley E and Wacky. My views on politics is skewed. My mindset is usually like, if you're living in a community where people endorse complete chaos themselves and no discipline, then what purpose would I have to serve into trying to put myself in a position trying to help people who don't want to help themselves? Now, that comes with a subjection, because do I still believe in the political power? Absolutely. I definitely do think that there should be policy for us brothers, and that there should be something to change. And I'll admit I was very ignorant to it, but I did have the experience to work with someone who was on a political campaign, so I was able to understand the certain policies that was being put in place. And actually, I was working with him in a Jewish slash white neighborhood. I was actually, well, Wacky knows this neighborhood, Riverdale. I was in Riverdale, and
Oh yeah.
so I had the chance to see both sides of the world from the Democratic and the Republican side. Someone they was trying to get out of office for sitting over there for about over 25 or 20 something years. You had your couple of black people that was either involved in the politics in that sector, or was involved as in like they was at those boardroom meetings. So I did see that. You know what I'm saying? So I did become privy to the political campaign at least. So I'm gonna say this on a whole political spectrum. Yes, I do believe it's important. Yes, I do believe we need to get out there. I'm just making the confession I've been skewed on it, because either I feel like there is going to be a benefit for us, but then it's just like reality sets in, and it's just like, well, judging by the characteristics of the neighborhood that I come from, what am I supposed to do? I'm the one out there that's telling them, yo, I don't shop at any of those foreign owned businesses in my neighborhood unless it's black owned, so-called black owned. And that's the truth. It's a rarity for me to shop at businesses that's owned by other people. Now, the only thing that I'm guilty of, and I'll admit this also comes with discipline and power. The only thing that I'm guilty of is shopping at the supermarkets, which are usually owned by Latinos. I'm guilty of that. I admit that. But I've always preached, hey, look, listen, the most we could do, if you can put money into a so-called black business, go ahead and do it. We have this theory of doing things for convenience. And because if we're going to the gender type of thing, when it comes to money, who spends the most out of the community? Who spends the most when it comes to gender? Women do. Men are less inclined to spend more than women are. Women spend more than men do. So My thing about it is the only thing that I could preach, have discipline on your financial choices too. Maybe even if you don't have it all together, at least you're smart enough to say, well, this is what I'm going to support and this is what I'm going to do. That comes with power. And I'm not going to say it's going to automatically get those people out of business, but you'll start to learn this is what we got to do. And when it comes to the political aspect, I'm just going to say that, you know, I'm skewed on it, but I'm always opening to learning. So that's my thing.
Okay. You brought up a good question, Brown Bird. When in regards to social logic, I guess he's having technical issues, but okay, moving on. Because your question is, what would be the point of being politically active when you look outside of society, especially in so-called black society, and you see a lot of so-called black people who don't really care about themselves and their conditions. So what's the point to spend my time and energy to fight for them? I mean, it's an interesting question, but the thing is that, Brown, you have to fight for you. And in this society, you are a member of a certain demographic. You know, and as long as you're a certain member of that demographic, you're going to have to fight for that demographic because you're fighting for you. And I get it that there is a collective of people who don't give a damn about their own condition, but the goal is to fight for you and fight for your rights. And the rest of the collective, at least they can have some rope to climb on top of if they need to. But the way to do that is to make sure that there are policies in place that would benefit them or us as a collective. You know, so we have to get out of that mindset in which, yes, I do understand the frustration when it comes to when we go outside in society and we see the level of ignorance, the level of apathy that takes place amongst so-called black, especially so-called black males. But at the end of the day, there's an elephant in the room, and we have to and we have to address the elephant in the room, and not only address the elephant, we have to make sure he get the hell out the room, because if he stays in the room, you're going to be stomped on. Oh, I'm choppy? Oh, really? I'm Borgin?
Yes, you are.
Damn. Oh, geez. All right. So, Sheila, go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me clear?
Yeah.
I hear you, Clem.
Okay. I'm be honest, guys. Local politics is important. We have put, and I helped put the first black mayor in the city I grew up in office. We turned the board education around, a couple of blacks. One of the Pookie and Ray Rays, he kept on running, losing. He in the city council. So county, we put first black judge in the seat. Your local county, state politics is important because that's what affects you most locally. And like I said, the end of the day is, no, I don't have a problem with my family, but I do what I do because some people need that person to advocate for them in the courtroom. Some people need that person to give them, knowledge to understand of things they don't know going on. And what I'm trying to say is that let's be that change we could be, because if you know a little thing about politics or whatever, you could run for office. You don't have to have no degree. You don't have to be all this smart or whatever. Just knowing what's going on in your community, get to know, go to a couple of meetings like for 6 months, work sessions and everything. is that easy to me. Politics is simple. Once you get to know every board, the plan development, work hand in hand with code and compliance, work hand in hand with zoning, DPW, the police department, the fire department, they know the budget that come in your town, your city, wherever you live at. Just get to know your elect officials, start going to the meetings now. The meetings on Zoom. And let me tell you something, you'd be surprised the change you could make just speaking against different things. And yes, I got discouraged. I had a call. I was talking to my city council meeting. I had put in seat yesterday that things they're doing to the black males in the inner city, because I always get calls. I had a guy I grew up with in school. He a lawyer. He got pulled over because they never seen his Jaguar before. So it doesn't matter how much money you make, how you look, what car you drive, education, degree, long you a black male. It doesn't guarantee when you leave your house you're gonna come back. And that's why I fight. I fight for the ones who want to help themselves. And let me tell you, it's a struggle when you're trying to help people in the inner city. Because some, I'm going to keep it real, they got that stimulus check. They're going to get those 60 bottles of Henny. And coronavirus, they're sitting smoking weed. Some people like that. But I help the ones who want to help themselves. Not everybody inner city want to stay in the inner city. And I'm just saying, if you could be a change and you could help a young child or mentor somebody on your way, please do that, because you don't even know the impact you're making in their life. And I'll go on mute.
Am I clear? Can y'all hear me?
For now, you're clear.
Oh man, I was making a great point, but and I was walking out. But Sheila E, that is a great point, because we do need to. Can y'all hear me? Am I clear?
You borging a little.
Yeah, just a little, but we hear most of what you're saying.
Okay, but I'm saying that was very good, Sheila E, because we do need to put a lot of emphasis on our local politics and our state politics too. We do need to put a lot of emphasis in that, because our local and state policies has a very large effect on us. But I'm about to hang it up for tonight and end this chat. So, any final thoughts? Black Curls, you go first, and afterwards Sheila E.
Yeah, Sheila, you're on point about the involvement into your local voting, because I'm guilty of not, knowing about the politicians or people running in those positions. Like before election, like I'm looking at their policies. I'm not really looking at their personal background as is. But this was actually a great discussion, and thanks for having me on, Wacky.
All right, no problem. Thank you for coming on. Sheila E., what are your final thoughts?
Yes, and I do support my black men, and reason why I advocate for them more, because the women have more opportunities and organizations to help them than our black men. Since somebody in chat said, we all said men's no more, yes, and younger men's. But I just want to say, I want to thank you again, Wacky, for always allowing me to speak my truth and how I feel about my community and my surroundings in the inner city, even though I don't live there, but I still, have a heart there. And I want to thank you for always allowing me to come on your panel and always showing me respect. And just keep on doing what you're doing, Wacky, because like I said, the end of the day it's not about how many people you have in your chat. It's not about likes and views. It's about the message. If you could just touch one person's life, whatever you're doing is not in vain. And everybody have a blessed night and stay true to yourself.
Thank you. Wise words from Sheila E., the Quiet Storm. Thank you. And thank you, Sheila E., for coming on and always providing a great scope on things. All right. So this was another great discussion. Shout outs to everybody in the chat. Shout outs to New, Sir with Yahoo, Jerome Whiteside, Game Changer, Sigma American Arcana, Elm City, and everybody else. And shout out to everybody that'll watch this video on the playback. So anyhow, you guys have a good night or a good morning, wherever you at in the world. Shalom.
All right, God bless.